I wanted to work so badly. I hadn't worked in Hollywood since Facts of Life, which was about 7 years. And I knew that I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to work. And I remembered years earlier, in the 80s, early 80s, I had gone to a party and met Stephen Cannell. And he was sitting on a sofa, and I went over and sat next to him. And he was telling me how proud he was of me for my work on Facts of Life. And I said, thank you. And he said, no, you don't understand. You and I are a lot alike. And I'm looking at him, yeah, we are? He said, I have dyslexia. I have a disability too. And I didn't let my disability get in my way either. And that's why I have total respect for you. And I never forgot that. So in the early 90s, I called him and asked him if he would look at a treatment that I wrote for 21 Jump Street. Yes, of course. Wow. And they bought it. And unfortunately, the only thing that got changed, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know how to look at it, but one of my reasons for choosing that show, because he had many shows on the air, but one of the reasons I chose Jump Street was because I wanted to work with Johnny Depp. And as it turned out, the week that I was to film with Johnny Depp, he was filming Crybaby. So they changed all the lines to Peter DeLuise, who ended up being such a sweetheart. And there are no accidents in life, so maybe there was a reason I wasn't going to work with Johnny Depp at that time. And I remember I had a scene with Peter in his truck. And it was a very emotional scene, very highly charged. And it's hard for me to be emotional and not move. It's connected to this whole body. I mean, I can't emotionally lie, because if I lie and say everything's fine, I'm like, and so I'm sitting there and I'm screwing up every single take, because every time I move, the sound gets fucked up. And it takes over and over and over again. And then I'm going, oh, God darn it. And then they have 6 pillows around me to stop me from moving. They put a belt around my legs to hold them still. They're trying everything to keep me to have the same emotional height of emotion, but don't physically show it. I remember I was so frustrated, and I said to Peter, gosh, I hate cerebral palsy. And he looked at me and he said, why? Like, I didn't expect that. He smiled. Oh, I know. Why do you hate it? I said, look how many takes. Look. I have 6 pillows around me. I keep screwing this up. And he said, he put his hand on my arm. He said, Geri, I'm going to tell you something. And don't ever forget. I said, what? If you didn't have cerebral palsy, you wouldn't be who you are. And you wouldn't be sitting in this truck doing this scene with me. So I suggest you change your attitude. And he really meant it. He wasn't just, he really meant it. He said, so what? So it takes some more takes. Big deal. We all fuck up. I was like, oh. Okay. I won't complain anymore. Now stop moving. I played an undercover cop. My thinking was that is they would never know I was an undercover cop because I had a disability. And I was shot in the head. I had brain injury, and that's why my body was affected this way. And I used to be a cop, but then I was reduced to just doing office work. But I wanted to be a cop again. That was my logic. And the one thing that I didn't write the script, that needs to be verified. I wrote the treatment. The staff wrote the script. And I had written, I didn't write me swimming in an Olympic-sized pool, being chased by the rapist. That was not in my thinking. But they thought it would be more dramatic if I'm the one that he tries to rape, not me saving someone else. And it was, well, it was challenging. I was in that pool a lot of hours, and the crew and the staff were so supportive. I remember there was one scene with the rapist where I realized it was him, and I grabbed my gun and I was supposed to say freeze, and I had involuntary movement and I threw the gun and hit him in the head. And there were things like that, like when I'm swimming in the pool and I accidentally kicked the cameraman in the head, things like that. But, ultimately, we resolved all those issues, and it actually it was a pretty good episode. I think it could have been better, but like I said, it was a cop. Come on. I wanted to work that bad.